we have a wonderful program for you this afternoon. So without further ado, we want to thank the Key Biscayne Community Foundation for this incredible program every month. And I'm going to turn it over to someone who doesn't come very often, so I am quite honored to see her here, Melissa White.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming today. It's very special to me. Small interruption. This is from pickleball, so be careful on those courts. I have a very good friend here with us today, Virginia Jacko, and I'd like to also bring up Nancy Harrison. The significance of Miami Lighthouse for the blind to Key Biscayne is huge. Nancy's dear husband, Peter, served on the board forever, and 25 years, and there's been a Harrison on the board of Miami Lighthouse for the Blind since its inception. Is that correct, Virginia?
Correct, yes.
Yeah. Peter understood the importance of the lighthouse for low vision, for blind individuals. He understood the difference it made in everybody's life, and what the point of bringing Virginia and Miami Lighthouse, Carol's here too, to Key Biscayne today is so that the seniors understand the resources that are so close and that are really life-changing. Virginia's going to go into it in more detail, but I've actually been to and seen the Vision Solutions Center and the technology and the aids they have, and I can tell you it can make a huge difference. And they are so helpful and so serving of all communities. So without further ado, Virginia Jacko, our dear friend.
Thank you for this opportunity. Did you know that 70% of people age 80 and older have uncorrectable vision loss? Think about that. 70%. 7 out of 10 people age 70 or older have uncorrectable vision loss. And too often, those people are inclined to just stay home. I became blind about 20-some years ago, and in the event that I did not find Miami Lighthouse for the blind, I probably wouldn't even be around today. I am 83 years old. Why is that important? Because Miami Lighthouse was the first private agency in the country to rehabilitate adults for mainstream integrated competitive employment. And after I finished in 2001, going to Miami Lighthouse every day for 4 months, I fell in love with the mission. I was an executive at Purdue University. No, I'm not heading back to Indiana. I love Miami. I love Miami Lighthouse. And I was invited to become treasurer of the board. And since I have a very strong financial background, it was a compliment, but I called my daughter and said, now they want me to be treasurer if only I had my eyesight. She said, Mother, don't you dare say no. What have you been going to the Lighthouse for if you aren't ready to accept that appointment? Didn't they teach you how to read an Excel spreadsheet on the computer? You know everything about finance and budgets. You could teach them a few things. So I didn't say no. I became treasurer of the board, and in 2005, when the then chief executive quite quickly decided to move on to a different career, it was an amazing woman named Donna Blaustein, who recently passed, who was chairman of the board, and said, Virginia, we would like you to put your name in. We're going to halt the national search. And guess what one of those board members said? oh no, now the inmates are gonna run the asylum. And I thought, like someone laughing here, that is kind of funny. And I'm gonna prove that bastard wrong. And I did just that. When I began at Miami Lighthouse as president and CEO in 2005, we were serving about little less than 500 people. This past year, 28,000 people benefited from our services. Whether it's low vision services, whether it's free eye care for needy children, our Blind Babies program, our vision rehabilitation for people to get employment, teenagers, pre-employment training skills, summer camps, and senior group activities, independent living skills. So I want to announce now, I've not talked to Melissa, but we do not want a single person on Key Biscayne that is affected by uncorrectable vision loss to feel the least bit like they cannot be independent. I promise them independence because I live alone. I'm independent. And it was of people like Carol Brady Simmons, our chief program officer, who actually started our Blind Babies program, who I invited to join me today. But let me back up with just a few other points. What was it like for me to go to Miami Lighthouse for the Blind? I'm in Indiana, I'm a Hoosier. We did have an apartment here because my daughter was an engineering professor at FIU. And she began to see me struggling on the computer. And in the Clinton administration, she received the Clinton Presidential Career Award for modifications that she came up with that Microsoft adopted for people with low vision to be able to adjust the computer. But when she said she was looking for human subjects in Bascom Palmer Eye Institute, Miami Lighthouse, Mom, someday you should relocate to Miami. And do you know what I said? To go to Miami Lighthouse? Whatever. I had no clue what it meant to go to Miami Lighthouse. You have to experience it. I want to invite all of you to come on a day that we have Living with Low Vision Day. Typically it's a Wednesday. But when I hear of people, for example, people say to me, how do you know what you're wearing? And I say, see, now you know I'm totally blind. Just had a board meeting and they had to turn me. They didn't fire me. They just knew I wasn't a phony. Okay, so I don't want to have on a sheer white blouse and black underwear. So I have in my drawer a color identifier. And in my closet, when it says blue, I know I'm in the blue section. And then I touch my jacket and yeah, that's the one I want to wear. That's the one where the zipper goes to the top.
Here's one.
Of gray blue. See, Carol just showed how it works, right? So going to Miami Lighthouse and walking in the door, and they say to me, and what do you want to learn? I did not know what the heck Miami Lighthouse even was. And you know what I said? Maybe if I could make cookies for my husband and not burn my arms. What a stupid thing I said. But I didn't know what all there was for me. So going there and getting back my computer skills, using an iPhone or a computer as well as any sighted person, learning how do I organize my life so I can be independent, learning how to cross busy intersections with a cane so I could be credentialed to go to New York to get a guide dog from Guiding Eyes for the Blind. Sometimes seniors say, how do I get one of those guide dogs? You don't get one of those guide dogs. You have to be credentialed by an orientation mobility specialist, that you know your cane skills, and you will be independent, only you with that guide dog. So sometimes even high school students with a vision disability, the parent says, how do we get Johnny one of those guide dogs? No, no, no. You come to Miami Lighthouse, learn how to use a cane, how to be independent, and then we will refer you to an accredited guide dog school. So I'm going to pause for a minute. And the first person that asks me a question, I have a gift for them. So go ahead. Anyone brave enough to ask a question?
Like here.
Okay.
Do you use Braille at all? I'm wondering, you have an iPhone. How do you read and respond on your iPhone?
Well, you know what? She's asking me two questions. I should have brought two gifts for her. But Carol, will you see to it that she gets the talking clock? So when you wake up in the middle of the night and you're wondering what time it is, and you don't want to reach your phone, you just lean over, touch a button, and you'll know what time it is. Because we all do sometimes at 2 in the morning have to find our phone because we're curious. You don't have to do that anymore. Okay, iPhones. We teach the blind how to, not Siri, you can all use Siri, you can change a setting on your iPhone called voice over. I don't then have a screen, but I know where to click on that piece of glass. And I am trained by Miami Lighthouse to use an iPhone as well as anybody. And it is by learning at Miami Lighthouse how to use voiceover on an iPhone. Just a very few simple lessons, okay? And we're very willing to come here and have one of our technology experts show you just that. Now, what about Braille? So there are 3 levels of Braille in vision rehabilitation. And I remember I went to the Lighthouse every day for nearly 4 months. I went through every level of Braille. I was reading books in Braille. But then, like a foreign language, use it or lose it. Now, to the extent though that Braille is still important, I happen to live across the way at Grove Isle. And very recently, a driver dropped me off at building 2. I even said to the driver, is this building 3? He said, yes, ma'am. He really didn't give a hoot, right? I get out, I get on the elevator, I push 14, I walk to the end of the hall. Ooh, my apartment's locked. I wonder who was here from services. Or maybe it was the fire alarm or something and they locked my apartment. Maybe I should get back on the elevator. Maybe I should first touch around the elevator. And in Braille, is it 14? Yes, it is 14. Oh, I think I'm going to get back on the elevator and go back downstairs. And they say, Mrs. Jacko, do you know you're in building 2? I felt so stupid. But did Braille come in handy? Absolutely. Is Braille important in learning? Braille is literacy. And for blind school children, if everything they learn is auditory, they will have very poor literary skills. So thank you for asking about Braille. Now I want to ask Carol Brady Simmons to demonstrate to you. We have hundreds of devices in our Vision Solutions Center. And on Wednesdays, it's Dr. Gardner, probably one of only 3 low vision optometrists in Florida. At one time, he was with the Bascom Palmer Eye Institute, but I convinced him some 20 years ago that he could have his own Vision Solutions Center if he would see patients on Wednesdays. So he will say, you know, you're using a 3x magnifier. That's why you can't read that whole line. I recommend a 2x magnifier, because the bigger the number, the fewer words you're going to be able to read, etc. So Carol Brady Simmons, orientation mobility specialist, my mobility instructor, and you are meeting the person that started the first Blind Babies program here in the state of Florida back some 25 years ago or more. So Carol, take the microphone and describe to them devices, and then we'll ask more questions.
Okay.
Thank you, Virginia.
So I'd like to welcome everybody, and I want to first talk about safety. It's really important to learn some safety skills that will be in everyday life. Mats in front of your doors, in the kitchen, the bathroom, in your living room, those can be extremely dangerous, especially as we age and we don't lift our feet enough. So if you remember to lift your feet or remove the mats, remove the rugs, it's really important. To take into consideration steps and stairs, you know, even just putting a little bit of yellow or a contrast on your stairs so that you visually see them, that's important. If you have stairs in your house, if you just put those little lights on your stairwell in strategic places, just so that you remember, especially in the evening when you're waking up and you're going downstairs to get something to drink, that you remember the stairs. So those little things make a big difference in your life and can save you from falling, breaking an elbow, a hip, a knee, an ankle, whatever. So safety is really important. And with that, I'm going to talk a little bit about some aids and appliances that we have in our Vision Solutions Center. So the one that's up on the screen right now, it's called the DaVinci Pro. And that's a closed circuit television that you can keep on your counter. And what's nice about the DaVinci Pro is that it has a camera on the top. So you can turn the camera outward and you can see at a distance. So if you're sitting at your desk and you want to see something maybe outside your window or at a distance in your house, you can turn the camera and it will show you on the screen what's in the distance. It also has an access where you can put black on white or white on black, because individuals with macular degeneration tend to see better white on black than black on white. So that little reverse makes a big difference. And that's about $4,700, and that is one of our most expensive items. But it does make a difference in someone's life, especially if they have to do a lot of reading. The next CCTV that I want to show you is called the Vario Digital, and that one is a foldable, portable CCTV. So if you travel, it's a wonderful device to take with you. You can put it in your bag and take it with you. You can take it to a hotel, on an airplane. It's not very heavy, and it is a desk-mounted CCTV, so it's still large enough for you to see a variety of items. The next one is an Eschenbach. It's a Visilux, and this one is also portable. And I actually have I have that with me. And afterwards, if you want to come up and see some of these items, I have them here for you. This again is another Vizio Deluxe XD, and this one has the ability where you can have a touch screen. Does anybody have any questions about closed circuit televisions?
Does most insurance pay for, or at least a percentage of?
Unfortunately, no.
I love to say this because it's my pet peeve. Why is it that Medicare and Medicaid will pay for a man to have Viagra, and yet that same man or a woman, you can't even put a white cane on Medicare and Medicaid, much more devices that help a person remain independent? Something is wrong with our Medicare and Medicaid, and let's hope that in Washington, D.C., they're taking a look at that. And that is an area that unfortunately you should be able to put on your Medicare.
Any other questions? Okay, so now we're going to go into some daily devices that help you in your day-to-day life. So up on the screen right now is I have a woman's talking watch. It's very elegant. It slips onto your wrist, so it's easy to use, and it's pretty. And it talks. It tells you the time and the date. We also have a man's watch. We have the men's watch the same way. It's just larger and bigger, and you can get it in the man size. But I wanted to show you a different one. This one is a leather watch. So it has a leather band. It's a talking watch. It also has the face on it. And so you can see what time it is, as well as check out the date and the time. And then we also have that wonderful little clock that Virginia showed you earlier that has a little green button on, and you just touch the green button, it will tell you the time. And that's really nice in the middle of the night. Yes?
Is there an advantage to having an Apple Watch? Do they do a lot of this?
No. See, the Apple Watch really doesn't tell you the time. Like, it doesn't vocalize the time to you. So that's the difference. Now up on the screen I have a demonstration. It's called white bump dots. These bump dots can come in many different colors. They can come in orange, black, multiple colors. But what's so important about these little dots is that it gives you accessibility. Does anybody have a remote control and you're trying to find that one button that you just can't find because they all look the same? If you just put a raised dot on one of the buttons that you prefer, it could be the on-off, it could be the up-down for the volume, it will give you a quick way of identifying so that you can use your remote control. I also want to tell you a little bit about medicine management. Medicine management is extremely important. Up here on the screen, I have a medicine tray, and it's for 7 days a week. But what's nice about this one, it's large print, and it's morning, noon, evening, and bedtime. So people that take medication throughout the day, 7 days a week, you can set this up in the beginning of the week, and then it gives you the independence that you don't need anybody trying to tell you what's on each of those medicine boxes. Now, if you came to Miami Lighthouse and you went to our Solution Center, we have a variety of different medical devices that can help you. We have talking thermometers, we have talking blood pressure machines, we have talking glucose monitors, we have talking scales. So there's a lot of things that are available that will make your life a lot easier. I brought with me a nail clipper. Does anybody ever have one of those hank nails and you just need to get it off? Well, this little nail clipper has a magnifier on it, and it also has a light. So if you have low vision, it's a wonderful little tool for $15 that will make your life so much better. Little silly things like this can make a difference in your life. Any questions on any of the medical devices? So in the kitchen, those little bump dots that I told you about, you can put them on the microwave. So you can have them so that you can put it on the 30 seconds. So if you just need to warm your coffee a little bit longer, you just know where that button is. You can set it up just like I told you on anything. Anything that makes your life easier, you can identify with those little dots. So this is a double-sided spatula. And so if you are frying something and you need to turn something over in a pan that has oil in it, it literally, you put the spatula under, you clip it on the top, and then you can turn it over without splashing the oil. It makes your life so much easier. And then here is a black and blue measuring cups and spoons. Again, you know, on the measuring spoons, they're really small print. Well, here it's large print and it has good contrast. And so you can identify the different cups and the spoon sizes. And this is one of my favorites. This is the big print date calendar. And what's wonderful about this book, it's large print. On the left-hand side is 3 months, so that you can say April, May, June. Then on the right-hand side is large lines, so that you can put your appointments and your doctor's appointments or family engagements or whatever it is that's important to you on the calendar. And with that, you can get a 20/20 pen. And these 20/20 pens are like a magic marker, but the magic marker kind of bleeds through the paper and it goes through the other side. These are specially designed so that they don't go through the paper. So it's dark, it's bold, and you can visually see it better because it has wonderful contrast. This up here is the colorino that Virginia told you about. And believe me, she does use it because she's always coordinated. She has a couple of pair of shoes that are exactly alike, and some are black and some are blue, and she knows the difference. Another thing that she does, which I think is great, is she takes clothespins. Because she has a couple of pair of shoes that she likes that are the same but different colors, so she clothespins them together so that, you know, we all kind of just flip our shoes off. When you're blind, you can't do that because you have to stay organized. And this colorino can reinforce that she definitely has the black shoes and not the blue shoes. The next item on the screen is a self-threading needle. Does anybody ever lose a button? Need to hem something? Well, these needles are absolutely incredible. They're what, $3? And they have an opening on the top. You can put it in a styrofoam, in a potato, whatever, anything that's hard, you know, stick the pin in it, and then at the very top it has an opening, and you just take the thread and pop it on, and it's absolutely incredible. Those are the pins that I have at home too, because it makes it so much easier. Does anybody play bingo? Yeah, so these are large print bingo cards. And what are there, a stack of about 10, 15 of them in each of the packets. So you can see the different numbers, you can take them with you, so you can play with your friends anywhere without having any issues finding the numbers on the bingo card. And then we have jumbo playing cards. And these are also wonderful because the print on the cards are very large. They're the same size as anybody else is using of the regular deck of cards, but the print's just large. So it really makes a difference and you can still play cards. So up on the screen is my information. If you don't feel like asking a question in front of everybody, you can always reach out to me. We also have on your table these little cards, and there is a QR code on it, and that will take you to our Vision Solutions Center store, where you can order online any of the items that you see on the Vision Solutions Center shop. If you want to come up and see some of the items, I brought them with me so that I have them here for you. I also have, if anybody has any interest in seeing what different eye diseases are, I brought some cards, and it simulates what macular degeneration is, diabetic retinopathy, glaucoma, cataracts, and just general blindness. So I have those cards here, and if you want one, I'll give them to you.
We all know what the Bascom Palmer Eye Institute is, the #1 place for ophthalmology, right? A fact that many of you do not know is that it was the Miami Lighthouse that provided the land and the funding for launching the Bascom Palmer Eye Institute. And so our collaboration is very strong. We always have on our board 2 of their faculty members. And typically, I would hope that if you're having macular degeneration and no one ever says there's nothing more we can do for you, because they need to say let me refer you to Miami Lighthouse, and you can lead a productive, independent life. Thank you, but I welcome your questions.
I became familiar with the Lighthouse through a friend's brother who had macular degeneration, was losing his sight. You have no idea all of the mechanisms that she has described. We are listening and saying how nice that is, that's wonderful. But when the need arises for those instruments, you have no idea how it changes your life. I saw it with my friend Yvonne's brother, and as a result of that, my brother had the same problem, so I was now a little schooled, and we called, and they are the most helpful individuals you could want to have help you. And as a result of that, and this is a point I'm trying to make to each and every one of you, I have been donating to the organization for at least 20 years. And I'm not saying I give them $1,000. Whatever you give, it's appreciated. And they are one of the few organizations that appreciate it so much that you get a thank you in return. There are 2 items I keep in my bag all the time. This is one of them from the Federation of the Blind. It's a magnifying glass, and it had a little light. And the other thing that I carry with me from them as well is a little packet. And this was sent as a result of giving a donation with a clipper and tweezer and a little pair of scissors. So I ask you, if you can, donate to this wonderful
Miami Lighthouse for the Blind for 95 years, and you know what? What a testimonial.
Yeah.
And we did not ask her to say that. Let me add to that, and I had not planned on doing a pitch regarding donations, but you all know that there's something called Charity Navigator. Miami Lighthouse has ranked in the top 1% of Charity Navigator for the past straight 14 years. Among all of the charities in Florida, there is only one other charity that has consistently achieved the ranking that we have by Charity Navigator on their 4 parameters, and now they also have what is called their pillars, to have a perfect score of 100%. And we are a small operation because only 8 cents of every dollar goes to administration. Think about the university you donate to, that indirect cost is 55%, not 8%. Wow, what a difference. Okay, some other questions, please.
Is all your funding from individuals, or are you government funded as well?
So my operating budget is $14 million a year. We serve nearly 28,200 program participants a year, 28,200. So we do get some governmental funding, Department of Health, Department of Education, Department of Transportation, because we have to transport all of our clients from Homestead to Hialeah, where they might live. So of my $14 million, half of that, $7 million, comes from contracts with these various government entities, including you on your property taxes. $500,000 goes to the Children's Trust. In the Children's Trust, you have to write proposals, and if you're successful, right now they're funding our blind soccer program, the first in the country, where 1, 2, 3, 4-year-old children that are blind are learning the concepts of blind soccer. And right now we have one of our employees out in Colorado competing on the National Paralympic team for blind soccer. So those entities that are government or the Children's Trust, which is funded by your property taxes, about half, so $7 million. The remaining $7 million is sending a letter to a donor or a donor that continues to give. I'll give you one example. We spend $90,000 a year on food because we have to provide breakfast, snack, lunch. This summer in our facility, with our school, with our rehabilitation programs, we'll be doing every day about 300 lunches. And it's less donations that we get from Trader Joe's and Publix, far less than years ago. And it was just yesterday that a very well-known man in this community sent us a check for $50,000 saying to help the blind no longer have food insecurity. So that is an example, but we do have to raise about $7 million a year by writing proposals to the Keep Us Sane Community Foundation, right, Melissa?
Yeah.
And all of you, thank you. Thank you.
Let's thank Virginia and Carol. I think that was really a wonderful presentation, and I'm hoping that it's the beginning of a closer working relationship, whether we're taking the bus over to the lighthouse or bringing the lighthouse here with some other solutions. But I think this is life-changing for so many people.
How I admire you, Virginia.
Oh.
And as you were speaking, I'm writing down the characteristics I saw in the last half hour in you that I admire very, very much. Number one, you're gutsy. You're down to earth. You're independent. You're smart. You're a born teacher because teachers need to be organized. And I think it's a privilege for all of us to have met you today and to have listened to you. And you have given me the inspiration, no matter what your problem is, you go on and things work out. So God bless you.
We love you. I'd give you a big hug if you come up here. So sometimes people wonder, what is wrong with their eyes? Do you know they still don't know? It is the weirdest thing. When I was in my 20s in Chicago, I was invited to go sailing on Lake Michigan. My God, I grew up on Lake Michigan. How stupid I was to wear a t-shirt and back then a pair of Bermuda shorts. And I was cold. And it was a blind date and I felt like the guy was a little creepy. So I didn't want to get too close to him. But I ended up with pneumonia. I ended up in a hospital in Chicago for a week. And at the end of that week, the doctor said, we took a sputum culture, we sent it to the lab, it takes 30 days, but it was broken. So why don't you take this drug every day for the next year? And they don't always quite have it right, but I was a good patient, and I took that drug every day for a year. After I began losing my eyesight, just some 20-some years ago, my husband and I, when they called it retinitis pigmentosa, typically an inherited disease, I was like, I don't believe it. Let's go to the Purdue Pharmacy Library. Other than the birth control pill, the only other pill I ever took was that pill. And you know what it says? Causes rejection of vitamin A. High doses of vitamin A required. So for 1 year, I was deprived of vitamin A. And nobody knows if the doctors aren't studying it, their interest is not quite at the level maybe that you need to get a solution. So I went to Massachusetts Eye and Ear, Harvard, Mayo Clinic, University of Chicago, and it was here at the Bascom Palmer Eye Institute that they said, take a high dose of vitamin A. So don't forget your vitamin A. Thank you.